welcome back to the Applecraft podcast. My name is Alicia and I'm filming outside of Nashville, Tennessee. Today is June 3rd on a Monday, and for this podcast we're going to have a little bit of admin in the beginning and then a bunch of WIPS. I have a finish, and after that we'll see. So today's a good break in the weather. We've had a lot of rain. We're going to have more rain, but today it's sunny. And I'm filming in the afternoon instead of in the morning. So hopefully I sound a little bit more coherent than normal. We'll see. So for admin, my die channel has gone live, and I'll put the name here. It's Applecraft's Lazy Die Studio. The first few videos are just old videos that I have uploaded and took off of this channel to put on that one. And then actually starting this Friday is the real deal. So you can go check that out, subscribe, and learn how to dye some yarn. Some of that yarn may or may not end up being in the shop, and some of that yarn may or may not end up being giveaways, so you never know until you watch the videos. So there you go. What else do I have? I've got rum raisin in the shop. I just put that up today. There you go. I've got a couple of skeins of this in, what's this one, 8515 merino nylon fingering. I have two of these, and I have 2 skeins of polymer fingering. So, and that actually leads me to my first WIP that I'm going to show you. Is my Nishibi that I am knitting in this colorway, rum raisin. So I have started on the arm, and everything is working out so far. So everything fits nice. I've got the arm on a 16-inch circular size 4. I knit the body on a 5. So part of my modifications that I like to do sometimes, but not all the time, when I'm doing sleeves, is if I'm going to use the same size needle on the arm, then I usually go about 2 inches down the arm before I start decreasing. But when I'm using a smaller needle, when I go a size down on the needle, and it really just depends on what size I've knitted on to begin with, that's really where it indicates what I'm doing here. So when I'm going down a size, I don't do any decreases for a while, because knitting it on a tighter gauge is already a decrease in a sense. So I'm going to be doing that, where am I at? 4 inches, so I'll probably be knitting on this for 2 more inches before I even start decreasing, and I'm going to try on the arm, you know, when I get to a point where I'm not going to pop my needles off, and then I'll figure it out from there where I need to decrease. But generally I can go longer when I do that. So yeah, anyway, this should probably take me 2 more weeks, I think, before I'm done. So very happy so far, and I love this pattern. This is a pattern by Carol Feller, Nishibi, and this is my second time knitting it. I know I've mentioned that before, but in case you're new, this is my second time knitting this. The first time I knit it, I didn't get to wear it for very long, and then I dropped a couple sizes, so I wanted to knit this again for the fall. I'm taking my time with it because I'm not going to need it until the fall, so I'm not in a rush to finish it. I'm really wanting to focus more on my summer garments, which I'm working on one right now, and I have one that's a finish, mostly. And that's a story I'll get into in a second. But all that to say, that's this. Boom, boom, boom. That's the front. This is the back. I'm going to put that to the side. I have not knit on any squares the last few weeks, so I have nothing to show for that. I have to do a separate video. Let me put this down somewhere. I have to do a separate video for my finish because it's blocking right now. So I'll film that after this and then just insert it right here. Here's my Maderia, all done. I have it blocking right now inside out. That's how I like to block my garments, inside out, mostly because it helps with these hemlines when I do that. So I tried this on, and it was very form-fitting, which I did not want. So I probably should have stuck with the bigger size, but I didn't. And then you can see down here, even on camera, that rowing out I was showing you. On the right side, it's not as obvious as this, but you can see a gauge change, which I don't like. And I thought I was going to be able to fluff out the rows, and that's not happening. So my thought is, I stretch this out really wide because it's the length is good, but I want that width because I want it to be flowy. And if it's not going to be flowy, I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing. So I'm going to try my hardest to get this pinned out and stretch it out. So right now I'll have this stretched at 44 inches across. Originally it was 42. That should help with that form fitting that I don't want. The neckline is not so much like in the photo. It is there, but it's more subtle than what I would have liked. And the back on the pattern was very hard to understand as far as casting off or binding off. So I just did my own thing, and I made the straps in the front pretty long so it's attached to the back. And actually, because of the way this garment is shaped, I really don't like the front in the front. So I'm wearing it backwards because this neckline actually looks better along with the armholes, looks better on me backwards than forwards, and it's reversible anyway, so who cares? It's just that this curved part is going to be in the back instead of in the front. I don't think that's a big deal if I do end up getting to wear it. An idea that I had is, because I know that this gauge change is going on the front part or the right side, my idea is to do some embroidery along here, you know, maybe some flowers and some leaves and stuff here, and then maybe a little bit down here, just to kind of hide some of that gauge change. But I want to see how this fits first, because if it's still form-fitting, even if I put a shaper on underneath it, which I really don't like to wear shapers, but I'll do it if I have to. But if it looks bad even with a shaper on, then I'm gonna frog the whole thing. But if I can get this stretched out enough where it looks okay even with a shaper on, hell, without, that'd be great. But if I have to wear a shaper and it looks good with a shaper on, then I will do the embroidery up here and down here. So that's my plan. I went through 2.5 balls of Noro Sonata. I went through 2.5 balls of Noro Sonata. And I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of that yarn, because I guess I really overestimated how much yarn I was going to need. So I'm thinking, because I don't like the way it knits up flat, as far as like when you're working around and then change to knitting flat. If I like the Maderia after blocking and it fits right, I'm going to use the rest of that yarn to make a poncho or a crocheted shawl or something like that, something open and lacy. If it doesn't work out and I end up frogging that Maderia, I was looking at some patterns, and my biggest problem with this yarn is when I'm knitting flat after knitting round. So my thought is, if I have to frog it, then I'm going to find, actually I already found a couple of ideas for garments that you knit up to the armhole, and then when you split you can crochet. I also found a couple of patterns where the whole thing is crocheted and it looks good. So those are my thoughts. So we'll see in the next podcast what I end up doing with that garment. Overall, I am not really happy with that pattern. I probably should have trusted my gut instinct the first time I tried that pattern 4 years ago and decided to frog it, but I didn't do that because mostly because I couldn't remember why I didn't like it, but maybe I just used the wrong yarn. I don't know, but I'm not going to try it a third time. I'll tell you that right now. There's too many other patterns out there. It's not worth it to try it a third time. If it doesn't work out the second time, I'm done. It's whatever. I'm not doing it. So that's it with that. My next WIP is that blue yarn that I got in Paducah at Tuscan Rose. This was that textured yarn that I had, and I had the hardest time trying to figure out what I wanted to do for a pattern, and then I finally settled on Fairy Ride tank. Now what I did was Fairy Ride tank is more of an inspiration than anything else because I'm doing so many modifications. So what I've got going on, and it's a mess right now, I'm doing a split hem, and I did keep the some of that garter on the bottom for the hem part, and then I'm only a few inches in right now, and then what I'm adding for some zhuzh basically is I'm doing a butterfly stitch down the center of the back. So every few rows, I haven't decided how many rows yet, I'm going to be doing that butterfly stitch. I may or may not add a bead to it. Probably not. It's probably too late, so I think I'll just leave it the way it is. But I'm going to add that maybe every 5 or 6 rows or something, just depends. Or I might count how many rows this is. That's probably about 5 or 6 rows, and then just keep going up the middle of the back. And then I think what I'm going to do for the front of this is when it gets just below the chest or somewhere in the middle of the chest, I'll do some butterflies in the center before I get to the neck part. And I think that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do a purl bump along the sides for a faux seam. I was thinking about slipping the stitch, but it's not really showing up with the texture of this yarn because I did actually do the first couple of rows. I'm only 4 rows in. You can't really see the split. I mean the slipped stitch. So I think I'm gonna purl it to do the faux seam on the sides, just to give it a little bit of something too, because it's a very plain summer tunic is basically what I'm turning this into. And otherwise it's just a bunch of stockinette. This linen, oh my gosh, I'm telling you, I had coffee, I promise. This yarn is Juniper Moon Farm Zoe, and it's a cotton linen blend. It's not bad to work with. It's very splitty, but then if you look, like it just comes apart. Will it come apart? There we go. See that? Like, because I guess because it's just cotton linen, it's just, you know, bam. So I'm constantly splitting the yarn. That's the only thing I don't like about it. But I understand it's cotton linen, so it's like it's gonna do that. I don't see why it wouldn't do that. So that's what's going on there, and I'm using these cute little butterfly stitch markers that I got at Tuscan Rose, and my beginning of round marker is also another stitch marker that I got at Tuscan Rose. So that's what's my knitting jewelry for this. I am knitting this on, I think a 4, but let me see. Yes, Chiagu 40-inch US 4, 3.5 millimeter. So that's what's going on there. I have not knit on my True Color shawl since the last time. I haven't touched it because I really wanted to finish that Maderia, which I did. I used way less yarn than I thought. But, so I haven't knitted on that. I have it over here. This is where I was last time, and this is, maybe I'll work on it this week. We'll see. I got a lot of other things going on right now, so back burner. but you know, maybe I'll add to it. Socks. Oh, I didn't bring the socks over. Let me get those. Hold on a second. I finished my son's socks. So I did a peasant heel, forethought heel, and I tried it on just to see what it feels like, even though the sock is too big for me, and it feels just like an afterthought heel. So, but this is in DK. The dark green is Brooklyn Tweed Arbor, and the wool is Targy. And the green is my yarn, Grassy Meadow, and Blueface Leicester. I was trying to give him a heartier sock. And I have a green stripe in the foot. I'm trying to think of what that was. Under the seat. That might be in Polar DK or Merino Cashmere Nylon. I don't remember. It's just a little bit underfoot of each sock, just to give it a little bit of something. Knit this on a US 4, like I said, DK weight, and I don't measure in rows. So the foot is 7.5 inches long. I think that's where I stopped. My foot is 6 3/4. I did his at 7.5. And then he wanted a really long leg, which he probably wanted it longer than this, but y'all, this is a lot of sock. So he gets what he gets. He'll like it regardless, so it doesn't matter. And speaking of socks, so I started a pair of socks for my other son. I've got right here. I'm still on the toe. Now let me tell you something right now. This kid, he's got a lot of foot. So this is with fingering weight. And we're at 72 stitches because pretty sure he's that wide. I did measure his foot. So we're doing 72 inches. When I say the kid has a lot of foot, I measured his foot and we're looking at like 8.5 inches long. So that's a whole nother inch on top of those green ones. That's a lot of knitting. This is going to be a while. I don't even know if he's going to like it because he doesn't know if he's going to like it. So this is just a trial run. This is a lot of knitting for a trial run, but you know. I don't dare put him in one of my socks to try on because he will stretch it out, because you're talking another 2.25 inches trying to fit in. Yeah, that's no. So I have plenty of socks. I don't mind knitting socks for other people at this point. So this yarn, I don't know what this is because this is not mine. I got it at a thrift shop. If I had to guess, I would say it's a merino nylon 8515 high twist. That's just an educated guess. But yeah, so that's what I'm working on for him. We're gonna be looking at that one for a while. I probably won't talk about it every episode because I'm sure a month from now I'm still gonna just be in the middle of the foot, because I already don't work on these types of socks every day. It's more of whenever I go to the coffee shop or go out and I take my knitting with me, and I don't go out that often, so that's when I work on that. Anything new going on besides the yarn channel? I don't think so. Nope. I think that's it. So, shorter episode today, which I'm sure we can appreciate. I know I have a lot of stuff going on, so I'm sure you do too, especially if it's warm outside and you have outdoor activities and you want to watch the podcast, but you also have stuff to do. So, I will see you next time, and go make something and be creative and enjoy some life. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.